Hello, I'm Dr. Terry Susan Fine, Content Specialist for the Florida Joint Center for Citizenship, part of the School of Politics, Security, and International Affairs at the University of Central Florida in Orlando. Welcome to our Middle School Civics Highlights series. Today we look at Benchmark 1.2, focusing on tracing the principles underlying America's founding ideas on law and government. In Part 2, we focus on religious liberty as a protected right. We're going to be focusing on why religious liberty is a protected right and where we might see it in some documents with which we are familiar. First, we're going to define religious liberty and then discuss why religious liberty is important. So here you see a very interesting image, which is the text of the First Amendment that is also presented as an American flag. Notice for the First Amendment, and this is the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, the First Amendment in the U.S. Bill of Rights. Notice that it includes several freedoms as well as one protection. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now what follows after that says that government shall make no law that abridges freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the right of the people to assemble and to petition the government. Now, notice that there are 5 freedoms in the First Amendment and an additional protection, protecting us from Congress, the national legislature, in terms of how it uses its power. But notice also that of these 5 freedoms plus the one protection, so 6 total, the first 2, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, the first 2 have to do with religious liberty. So not only does religious liberty connect with 1/3, 2 out of the 6 protections or freedoms in the First Amendment, but it's the first 2 freedoms or protections in the First Amendment. So clearly there was a very strong emphasis on religious liberty being important to the founders. The first being this protection from Congress may not make a law that establishes a religion that, for example, compels people to practice a certain religion or to identify with a certain religion. And then the second of these, which is the first freedom in essence, Congress shall not also write any laws that prohibits or denies to people the right to freely exercise their religion. So in terms of freely exercising the religion, what this suggests is that Congress cannot pass a law that says certain religious practices are illegal. Now we know that for the sake of the public good, there's been a lot of challenges to what the free exercise of religion means. And that's, of course, what makes civics and government so interesting, is that there's a constant debate over how we experience these founding principles. So here I have an excerpt from Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution. Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution includes the Supremacy Clause, which you might be familiar with, the Supremacy Clause, which says that if there's a conflict between the national government and the state government in terms of a law, that the national law is supreme. But there's another part of the Article 6 that's also very interesting. It says, the senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So what does this mean? What this means is that if a person is a member of a legislature, so a senator or representative, that would be Congress, or a state legislature, or is an executive, president for the national government, governor for the state government, mayor for the local government, or a judicial officer, a judge, they shall be bound by taking an oath to support the Constitution. That means that when people do take an oath of office, they take an oath of office not just to support the office, but also to support the Constitution. However, no matter what office a person might be elected to or appointed to, they shall never, no religious test shall ever, without exception, be required to take a religious test, no person, as a condition of holding public office. So one condition that's required to hold public office is to support the Constitution. But one condition that can never be required to hold public office is to face a religious test, meaning that someone would have to prove that they are a member of a particular religion, nor would anybody have to prove that they are a member of no religion, no religious test. So we do see that religious liberty is also reflected in Article 6. We also see here an excerpt from a letter that President Thomas Jefferson wrote in 1802. Thomas Jefferson, in addition to writing the Declaration of Independence and being a prominent figure in other aspects of American politics and history, he also served as the third president of the United States. Soon after he took the oath of office in 1801, he received a letter from the Danbury, Connecticut Baptist Association. And in this letter from the Danbury Baptist Association, they expressed concern that they believed that some of their religious liberty was being denied to them because they were a religious minority in the state. And President Jefferson wrote them back. He didn't write them back till 1802, but he wrote them back. And what he reinforces is the idea of the notion that when it comes to religion, religion is not a matter for government to get involved with except to protect its free exercise, protect that people can choose what religion that they want to be, and thus Congress shall make no law that establishes a religion. So President Jefferson said, "Believing with you that religion is a matter which lies solely within man and his God, that he owes account to none other for his faith or his worship, that the legitimate powers of government reach actions only and not opinions," meaning that a person can be held accountable for their actions regardless of their beliefs. So if a person, for example, takes an action that is illegal and then says, "My religion supports this action," that person is still held accountable under the law regardless of the motivation for engaging a particular act. On the other hand, if a person holds a belief, that belief is not going to be against any law. People are allowed to freely express their beliefs that they have due to their religion. Thank you so much for joining me for Middle School Civics Highlights. Do you still have questions? Please contact us using the information that appears on the screen. Till next time, I'm Dr. Terry Susan Fine. Thank you for joining me.